Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Barbie Edwards, owner and operator of a local Helena small business in town, Snow Hop Brewery. This is my head brewer, Becky Peppelman.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be with you all today as we gather together in celebration of women in the equal pay conservation. Thank you all for coming to the celebration of Equal Pay Day 2019. Today in Montana, women are earning 73% of what men earn. I love that Montanans recognize the need for change and that the state is working with small businesses like me to raise awareness of the gender pay gap. Before becoming a small business owner, I worked in the predominantly male-dominated financial industry. Over my 36 years of employment, I witnessed the gradual hire of more and more women. And while this industry continues to make great strides, adding women to the field, many of us experience the struggle of unequal pay for the equal worth they put forth. Now, as owner of a brewery, I am also very aware that women continue to be underrepresented. As head brewer, a 2000 study found that as of 1,700 active breweries surveyed, only 4% had a female head brewer. I am proud to say Snow Hop Brewery is in the minority. When my husband, Steve, and I went on our journey to find the most qualified brewer for our business, the subject of male or female was not part of the equation. We looked at experience, passion, and skill. In 2017, we hired Becky Peppelman, and never once did we think to pay her less than her male counterparts. So as you can see, I'm up here today because equal pay in the workplace is personal to me, and also because I know in Montana we can do better. I firmly believe recognition of a problem is the first step toward the solution. And it was our very own Governor Steve Bullock that acknowledged this problem and established the Equal Pay for Equal Work Task Force in 2013. Today is a day for celebration. Let's continue to celebrate this change towards equal pay with Montana. I encourage you all to come and have a beverage at Snow Hop Brewery, 6 p.m. this evening, where all women will receive a 27% discount in honor of our improving the 27% wage gap. And with that, it is with great pride and respect to introduce Governor Steve Bullock.
Welcome and thank all of you for joining us today. Special thanks to both Barbie and her head brewer Becky for being here today. Also being among the 300 Montana businesses who've already signed up and pledged to close the wage gap. Barbie, your leadership on this issue is fundamentally exactly how we'll continue to move the needle, so thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Montana became a leader 100 years ago. It was in 1919 when our state legislature passed the state's equal pay law. That act, a century ago, made it unlawful to employ women in any occupation within the state of Montana for less compensation, salary, or wages than that paid to men for the same work. Montana was so far ahead of the nation in passing this law. Just 2 states, Montana and Michigan, passed equal pay laws in 1919. It wasn't until after World War II that any other state followed our lead. And it wasn't until 1963, 44 years later, 44 years after Montana had put that first stake in the ground, that a National Equal Pay Act was passed by Congress. Yet we know that Montana's Equal Pay Law of 1919 alone, it hasn't been enough to close the pay gap. That's why over the last 6 years, Montana's Equal Pay for Equal Work Task Force has taken steps to narrow the wage gap. And then businesses have stepped up to revise their own workplace policies with equity in mind. Nearly 300 businesses in every corner of our state have pledged to put in place equitable work policies. I'd like to thank our task force co-chairs, Department of Commerce Director Tara Rice, and Commissioner of Labor Galen Hollenbach, who's continued to guide a group of community leaders and business owners through more meaningful work. Also, if you're a task force member, if you'd raise your hand, thank you for being here today as well. Together we have made some progress. When I created this task force back in 2013, Montana women were earning just 67% of what men would earn for doing the same job. Now, 6 years later, Montana women are earning 73% of what men earn for doing the same job. Back in 2013, we were 43rd in the country when it came to raw pay equity. Today, we're 29th. It's certainly a step in the right direction, and it's progress. It's slow progress, but we are taking those steps to close the pay gap. More Montanans are in the workforce today, and wages are on the rise. We need to make sure that those wages rise for both men and for women, though. Because when pay equity is achieved, Montana's economy will indeed grow. Every single hardworking family in our state has a stake in ensuring that women and men are paid for a fair day's wage for a fair day's work. My own daughters have a few more years before we send them out into the workforce. But when they fill out that first job application, I want them to know that the work that they do is just as important and just as valued as their male co-workers. Lisa and I actually took our oldest daughter to visit some colleges last week. And as hard as it is or was for me as a father to believe that we've already reached that important milestone in her life, it'll be before I know it that she's part of the workforce. And I want both of those daughters to know that if they desire to stay in Montana, and if they desire to raise their families here, ours is a place that they can prosper and be valued for their contributions to our state's economy. And there's no doubt, too, that we could accelerate the pace of that progress through legislation this session. If this group of legislators here, which had 2 female legislators, can lead the nation on issues like equal pay, the sky is certainly the limit for today's lawmakers and for Montanans all across the state. 2019 legislature has the opportunity to strengthen Montana's equal pay law by approving the Paycheck Transparency Act. It's House Bill 547. Bill simply allows employees to voluntarily discuss their pay without fear of retaliation. It would also encourage employers to set pay based on merit and market rates and not on an employee's wage history. Research shows that pay transparency increases job performance, which in turn benefits the employer. Leading the charge on that 2019 Equal Pay Policy Update is Livingston Representative Lori Bishop. I'd like to commend Representative Bishop for carrying the Paycheck Transparency Bill, which has already passed the House. Representative Bishop.
Good morning. I'm Representative Lori Bishop from House District 60 in Livingston, and I am a member of the Equal Pay for Equal Work Task Force. I should probably get that right off the bat. And I want to thank my fellow task force members for their ongoing work, as well as the governor for appointing me, because it's really given me the chance to be a part of an important effort. And I also want to thank our allies that are here today, as well as across the state today, recognizing this important day. I'm honored this session to be carrying House Bill 547 to promote paycheck transparency. As the governor says, House Bill 547 simply allows workers to have voluntary conversations with one another about their compensation, and it also protects job candidates from having to disclose their compensation to their potential employer as a condition of hiring. And here's why that matters for women, as we try to protect them and share their by protecting them from sharing their previous wage history as we strive for equal pay. We already know that there are inherent inequities in women's compensation. So when we compare them to employees coming from a wide range of employers, women are more likely than their male counterparts to have been receiving lower wages for comparable work. So a much more reliable, equitable gauge is simply their experience. And being able to exclude their prior wage history just enters bias from the start. What I love about the work of the Equal Pay Task Force is that we have put research and data at the center. And this is how we know that policies such as paycheck transparency are not just part of a solution for closing the wage gap. Transparency can help foster healthy work environments and environments where employees feel motivated to increase their performance as a means of increasing their compensation. 16 states have already enacted paycheck transparency, and this sort of policy is good for all employees, all employers, and certainly it's good for our state as a whole. Putting research and data at the center of our work has another positive benefit. It validates what women already know with our lived experience in the workforce. It is those lived experiences that have resonated with women who are in the legislature, women who are connected to the legislature, and have brought the bill for the first time ever out of committee and through the House. But like so many issues, confronting the wage gap can cause defensiveness. Legislators with their own experience as owners and managers in businesses and organizations want to hold up their good work of being equitable and fair to all of their employees. And their good work and the work of employers all across the state really does deserve recognition. However, as you're hearing today, the numbers tell us there is still so much more to do before we can all say we've stood up for all Montanans from the start of their career to the finish. So it is my hope that the Senate will join with the bipartisan members of the House and make House Bill 547 law. In closing, I just want to extend an invitation to join equal pay events that are happening all across our state. And here in Helena tonight, you're going to hear more from our friends at the Snow Hop Brewery as they hold a special public event where they are going to again join with businesses across the state who have signed the Equal Pay Pledge, and they will recognize the day with a 27% unhappy hour discount for women customers. Thank you, Snow Hop. And thanks again for everyone who came today.
Thanks, Representative Bishop. Thank all of you. Thank the commission, task force members as well. I'd also be remiss if Sheila Hogan, who's now the Director of the Department of Public Health and Human Services, was one of two, and at the time was Commissioner of Labor Pam Busey, when we kicked all this off and did such great work for that first 4 years. Really appreciate both their engagement. Doing the good work from this point forward. With that, if there are any questions.
Governor, you mentioned the ranking of 29th in the nation. Is that the Department of, is that your administration's ranking? I think it would be, it was 32 ranking by the American Association of University Women.
Usually I rely on Barb. Do you have that? It was, actually, I think I probably have where, somewhere in here. That was, and it's raw wage data from the American Community Survey data. That's what it is. And we can get you a copy of that. But be it 29 or 32, I mean, the point being, from my perspective, is that there shouldn't be this disparity at all. And 100 years after our state legislature took action that made it illegal for an employer to make a difference based on gender, we're still here. Long after John F. Kennedy first at a national level passed the Equal Pay Act. We can reflect on that, yes, we've narrowed that gap in the last 6 years, but it's unfortunate on Equal Pay Day that we even have to talk about that that gap exists at all.
How much of the narrowing of that gap do you credit to the task force that you set up or other factors?
I've learned in this office, usually I get blamed for everything that goes wrong. And no, I don't, from the perspective, like, this task force has done some incredible work. And it's not just what revolves around here in the legislature. When we fundamentally started to look at how do we even teach interviewing skills through our job services in our universities? How do we address some of the inherent disparities? I certainly can't attribute anything that's causal, but what I can say is we're moving in the right direction. And we've had a task force that's done incredible work and different task forces over the last 6 years, and so applaud the good work that they do, as well as the work of folks in Department of Labor and Department of Commerce and other areas.
Research shows that the wage disparity is even greater for women of color and Montana Native American women. Are there ideas or thoughts the task force has taken to address that disparity as well?
I don't know if, is Carol here, Langford? Oh, one of our members of the Equal Pay Task Force is Salish Kootenai. And I don't know the specific steps that have been taken directly to address, but it's absolutely correct, and it's something that we have to look at overall. Well, again, thank you all, and hopefully many of you will join us for an unhappy hour. And there's cake, and there's cake.